everyone, it's Mrs. Smith and we are on Project 2. So I want to go over a few things before we get started. We're going to be talking about an artist by the name of Gustav Klimt. He is very famous for this picture here called the Tree of Life. And some of the things that he did and contributed to the art world were his use of decoration, ornamentation, gold leaf in his paintings, and symbols. He was born in 1862, died in 1918, and he really contributed a lot, and he was very edgy for his time. So he did a lot of paintings that were very controversial, but we're going to be going over the Tree of Life. All right, so I'm going to show you how to draw a simple tree. We're continuing with those little swirls that we had before in the Van Gogh picture. So we're going to continue with that, and we're going to add our own symbolism. So for your Tree of Life, I want you to come up with a theme. What is your theme? Is it a tree of life that has birds and animals in it? Is it a tree of life that has a lot of symbols that represents maybe your family, and you have books in your tree that maybe represent a family member who loves to read, and maybe sports stuff for something else? And just get creative. All right, I want you to get a really cool tree of life, and it could be the opposite. It could be a tree of life showing destruction and pollution and things like that as well. So I'm going to show you how to draw a simple tree to get started, and I know it sounds easy, but I'm going to get you started for your rough draft, and then we'll proceed with the rest of the project. All right, stay tuned. All right, everyone, let's go over what we need to do this project. You will need your pencil and your eraser, your notebook that'll have the rough draft paper in it. You're going to need a fine tip Sharpie. You will need your watercolors, and you will need the gold metallic paint that I gave you in the smaller container that's in your paint baggie there. And then obviously keep this handy. This is your handout again that we'll look at for reference. And then let's go over the watercolor paper. Watercolor paper has a big texture to it. It almost looks like a fabric. So one side has a little bit more texture than the other. The side with the most texture is the one that we're going to use to paint on. And we're going to go this way in portrait mode for drawing our tree. So let's start with our simple tree, and I'm going to show you a few little tricks to get through this. What I like to do is look at my picture and get ideas based on things that might look like shapes or items that I might know really well, or how to draw that are simple. So my tree will start out in the middle here of the page and go up, and it almost looks like the letter Y to get started there. So that's the first step I'm going to do after I draw my horizon line across there. But for reference, I'm also going to look at where that Y starts. It's a little bit a little bit above the halfway mark for that tree. So let's bring all of those tips that we just looked at onto our page. The first thing we'll do is that horizon line across the bottom. All right, I've got that horizon line. Then I'm going to say, okay, my page is a little bit above halfway, right about here. And I drew a super light line, so you probably won't be able to see that, but just draw a light line as a reference point. And now I'm going to start my tree. Don't make that trunk be super wide at the bottom. Take a look. It probably should only be like 1.5 inches wide when you start. And all trees, everything starts a little bit wider on the bottom and tapers off. So it starts wider and then gets thinner. And then I'm going to look at that letter Y. It's almost like it comes out like a V at the top. So then I'm going to take and branch that out. Ooh, little tree joke there. I'm branching out my drawing, all right, to look like that. And again, I'm going to make those branches thinner on top, and then go into my swirl too. So I have, it looks like a fancy claw or something, right? So take a look at that to get started. Now from there, I'm going to add all my branches and everything else to it to fill the entire page, except for if you take a look at right here, there's a little bit of sky showing right here. So we'll start those branches coming up here, and it'll fill the whole page. What you want to make sure is that you have swirls going in different directions, not just the same direction for all the swirls. So I might start with a swirl just like that, and then I go back in, make it thicker on the base area, and then go to a thinner line. All right, later I'll erase all of these little areas here. But remember, this is your rough draft. So get in there and get your swirls. Start out with the swirl, then get the thicker branch made that goes to the thinner. All right, get down in here now, get a big swirl going, and then make it the thicker branch. All right, so you're going to continue doing that until you have all of your branches that fill up your entire page. Okay, so even over here to the edge, you want to get that right up to the edge at the top here. Maybe another one in between there to fill up the entire page. All right, so I'm going to fast forward a bit here to my tree. I've continued with my swirly lines to fill up everything, and notice my branches are always a little bit thicker, bigger on the bottom, and then they get thinner as they go around. So my tree of life is going to be more of a symbol of something for me. If you guys don't know already, I am vegan, which means I don't eat any meat. I haven't eaten meat in over 20 years now. So my tree of life is all going to be on fruits and vegetables that sustain me and keep me healthy. So I have included everything I can think of. I'm going to have some hearts coming up from the ground. I'm going to have different fruits and vegetables all in my tree. All right, and then across my horizon, I'm going to put some roots that are in there of some vegetables that are growing as well. So I'm not sure if y'all can see that. I'll put a still in there as well of it. So my whole page is filled with my symbolism and my tree, and the horizon line at the bottom with some patterns going on in here, and that's good enough for my rough draft, and I can get this on the good paper now.